How many mixing videos on YouTube have you watched? Are your mixes sounding professional yet? My guess is no, not yet, and it's really frustrating and time consuming for you. Sound about right? Well, your problem is probably with one, two, or all three of the elements I'm going to talk about in this video that are keeping your mixes from sounding professional. My name is Brandon with Megatonic Audio. Let's get into turning your mixes actually pro. So the first element that we're going to go over today that's keeping your mixes from sounding pro is the recording quality. It all starts at the source, and if you don't record everything properly, it's not going to work out in the mix. It's going to be really hard to fix in the mix, and then you're stuck trying to fix stuff in the mix instead of making it flourish in the mix. Which, believe it or not, mixing is not supposed to be about doctoring everything up, fixing all these mistakes and stuff like that. I know in today's world of mixing, we're all used to it, but that's not how it's supposed to be. At the professional level, you get things right at the source. Now, I know I harp on that a lot, but it's because it's the truth and not enough other people harp on it. Mixing is supposed to be creative and not just damage control. But lucky for you, I have another video on how to get professional level recordings from the start. I'll link it up here and in the description for you to check out after this video if you haven't already. And once you implement all the things I'm talking about in the recording stage in that video, such as mic placement, your mic choice, your gear, all that good stuff, your recording is going to sound great, which will make mixing a breeze and fun. You'll have a lot more creative freedom with it. It'll be awesome. And you won't be stuck turd polishing. Aren't you sick of turd polishing? I am. I hate doing that. I hate getting bad recordings and then having to fix stuff in a mix, knowing that the mix is not going to sound near as good as it could be if I didn't have to fix all this stuff. And when you're recording, by the way, make sure you're making decisions. If you're the one recording what you're about to mix, make sure you're making the decisions up front while you're recording or when you're setting up to record to use the right equipment to get the right tones and really aim for the final mix. Aim for that final mix sound in the recording stage. It will make all the difference. I promise you. You will excel in your mixes. You will grow leaps and bounds in your mixing capabilities. I promise. If you do that, if you keep the mix in mind from right when you record, your mixes will sound so much better, and you'll wonder why you didn't do it before. And speaking of aiming for the mix before you actually get to the mixing stage, the second element that is keeping you from a pro level mix is actually before you record. It's the arrangement. And if you don't know what arrangement is, that's just what instrument is playing what at what time, stuff like that. That's pretty much it. What instruments are playing what part at what time and how it all fits together in the song. Now, if you don't get this right, you can record it so well, crystal clear, perfectly. But if you got too much stuff going on in a section, too many of the same tones, yada, yada, yada. If you've got a bad arrangement, it doesn't matter how well you record it. Your mix is going to suffer because you're going to have all these parts that don't fit together well. They don't mesh. They're overlapping. They're causing masking. And then you're having to cut so much with EQ and maybe boost a little here and there, but a lot of cutting. You're going to be carving up every track in that mix way too much, and it's going to sound unnatural. And I don't mean that everything has to sound natural. I'm not one of those people. Whatever genre you're in, some things should sound harsh and aggressive, and other things shouldn't. Other things should sound natural, dry. Some things should sound washed and reverb out the galaxy. But what I'm getting at is you're going to have to make a lot of unnatural EQ moves, a lot of surgery, time-consuming surgery. And EQing doesn't take long normally if you get the recording right and the arrangement right. If the recording sounds good and the arrangement is bad, you're going to spend too much time trying to make it work. But it's not going to work. There's too many things playing at the same time. And if you're mixing for another artist, you might want to have a chat with them about the arrangement if you're on that level with them. Usually not your place as a mixing engineer. But you might have to bring it up. You might have to say, or if you're the one in the band that's mixing the project for the band, you're doing it yourself, you're going to have to tell somebody, hey, I can't keep this part or whatever. You guys are going to have to figure out what needs to go or rearrange it and do it again. It's probably going to sound better if you rearrange it and do it again. You'll actually probably save yourself a lot of time piddling around with EQ and going back and forth between tracks and trying to balance everything, and it's just not working, and you keep doing little tweaks here and there just to make this part you still hear it or feel it, whatever you're trying to do with it, while this other part's going that shouldn't be there. Also, the opposite can be true too, in a lot less cases, where when there's hardly anything playing, there's hardly any tracks, but the instrument that you're mixing or everything in the mix is all on the higher end of the frequency spectrum, higher register, well, then there's like nothing in the low end. There's nothing in the low mids even. There's no warmth. It will sound harsh. So that's something to think about. Arrangement is extremely important. Now, the third element that's keeping your mixes from sounding pro is you're losing perspective. And I mean that in two different ways. The first way you lose perspective is you don't remember what the song is supposed to sound like when it's mixed, or you never had a vision for where it was supposed to go once it was mixed. And so either you never had one or you're losing track of how you wanted it to sound in your head. You've lost perspective there, and you're just going to be piddling around, tweaking, and going back and forth a lot because you don't have that end goal envisioned. You don't really have a target, so you're just going to be trying things a lot and never really settling with, this is the final sound of the mix. Maybe your arrangement and recording is great, but if you don't have intentions on where you're going with that mix, what it's supposed to sound like, a reference mix, a few reference mixes, if you don't know where it's going, it's just going to go around in circles and you're going to go nowhere. And it's going to show. Your mix is not going to sound good. You're going to lose perspective and you're going to waste a lot of time getting a mix that sounds uninspiring and sounds like, frankly, you didn't know what you were doing, right? Because you didn't know what you were doing. The other side of losing perspective, the other type, is because you're mixing too long. Yep, you are mixing too long. And also, let's break that up into two ways of mixing too long. There is, first way, you're taking too long on the project in general, in the mixing stage. You're doing it for days and days and days, and your mind's going to change over time. Nothing's going to sound right to you if you keep mixing. If you just keep doing it, you're going to start to hear it on a level. You're going to start to hear details on a level that suddenly are jumping out at you, but you don't know if it's bad or good. And you don't understand why it's jumping out at you. It's jumping out at you because you've heard it so many times, your brain is trying to find new details to hear. And that level of detail does not matter. Does not matter at all. If you ever get a multi-track of a professional song that you think, man, that was incredible. You go on like, what's one? Pure Mix, right? You buy the lesson plan for your favorite engineer or producer's multi-track session of an awesome song you were just dying to see how they made it. And you want to practice on the recorded tracks. You want to practice mixing. Well, even if you listen to those over and over and over and over it too much, you'll start to hear details that you're like, actually, it doesn't sound that great. It doesn't sound as pristine. It doesn't sound as amazing as I thought it did, because I'm hearing this in this frequency range on the guitar, and you're going to start to hear stuff that you're not supposed to hear because no listener is hearing it that way. No one's listening like a mix engineer to a song on the radio or on streaming unless they are a mix engineer trying to get that sound. So if you take too long mixing too much in a general sense, you're going to lose perspective and you're going to start cutting things out or boosting things that should not be boosted. And then you stop and you come back a week later if it's your project. If you're a mix engineer, you don't have a week later. You got to turn it in on the deadline. You come back a week later after not listening to it and it sounds horrible. It sounds so bad. And that's your fault because you listened way too much and you started tweaking way too many things for way too long and you lost perspective. The other side of mixing too long is in the moment mixing too long on the day. In one day, you're mixing too long. What do I mean by that? You're spending hours at your desk or on your laptop, on your headphones, whatever your mix environment is, you're staying in that mix environment for hours without a break. You have to take breaks. This isn't some sappy self-care, mental health break. No. Stop being an idiot. If you keep mixing for too long, your brain loses perspective. Just like I said on when you listen to things over and over again over a long period of time for days and then stuff starts popping out, your ears start getting fatigued in the moment in one day. So if you listen to something too long in one day, you start getting ear fatigue and you're not hearing the overall sound like you were. You're starting to hear other details that don't matter, but you're also losing some detail. Your ears are backing off because you can only take so much time hearing noise, especially the same noise, before your brain starts to turn off its attention to it or parts of it. Now you're focusing, you're keeping yourself focused. You're telling your brain to keep focusing on that snare drum, keep doing it. Who cares? You can't keep focusing too long on especially small details. Your ear is going to hear it differently than it's actually coming out of the speaker if you listen too long. So get up, go to another room, go outside is the best. Going outside will help you the most. Going to a different room, depending on your living situation or however you're mixing, going to a different room usually doesn't help all that much. It's that open space of outside that sounds so different. And go outside you don't even have to do it. 30 minutes is good. You're for sure, you've gained perspective, but you probably don't even have to do it that long. But I wouldn't just go out for 2 minutes. You need to take several minutes of a break, at least 10 or 15. And I know what you're thinking. That is a huge chunk of time, and it is. But if you're doing all these things that I'm telling you to do, your mix time is going to be cut probably more than in half. I was going to say in half, maybe more in half, right? If you do all these things, your mixing time will get shorter and your mixes will get so much better. All three of these things need to be addressed, and think about them before you even hit record, before you start the project, before you do any pre-production with arrangement. If you're a part of that, if you're in the band, think about these things that I'm telling you now, aiming at the mix. That concept of aim small, miss small, it applies here too. You got to know your target, and you just got to actually take this to heart. You have to actually do it, or your mixes aren't going to sound any better. But if you do it, they will. Anyways, that's all I got for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please leave a comment below. Talk to me about it. Talk to each other about it. I love to see that. Give a like on the video. That helps this video get out to more people like you so that I can talk to more people like you about stuff like this. And also, please subscribe. I'm trying to grow this YouTube channel for that reason I just mentioned. And if you're a band or an artist and you're looking to collaborate with the right producer to bring your stuff to the next level, that's me. Click the link below in the description, and I would love to talk to you about working on your stuff to bring it to the professional level. All right, anyways, thanks for watching. Y'all be good.